Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. Since the last episode, I built up the iron mine, as I talked about previously. So we've got this one here running, currently loading a train. In this case, I am using stack inserters to go from the chest into the train. From the belt to the chest is not necessary. In fact, I'm using mostly yellows. The yellows were not quite enough to keep up, so I just added 2 blues at the end, just so that they would be fast enough to pick up whatever's left over. So it'll be somewhat balanced between the 6 chests. Probably will have a little bit more on the ends where we have the blue inserters. But what I did here is that there's actually 2 mines. So this one here, I am running into 2 belts. And this one over here, I also have running into 2 belts. And then the two sets of 2 belts are going into a 4 belt balancer, so that I can make sure that each cargo wagon gets the same amount, roughly the same amount. And so now we have an iron outpost. And that's coming down here, and it's not hooked up to anything yet because I don't really need it yet. Even though this one's almost done, I do have this one here. So this will take care of us for a little while. But once that starts to run low, or when we need more iron, then I will start emptying out what we're bringing in by train. The other thing I did here is tap into the coal lines that we're unloading here and run it up next to the trains, so that the trains will be automatically refueled every time they come back to this stop. You do have to make sure that you provide some fuel for your trains. Otherwise, they'll eventually just run out of fuel someplace and probably block all your train traffic. So, something to keep in mind. And then the other thing I did is I finished building up the red circuits. Oh, you know what? I'm not getting any more solid fuel because I forgot to hook it up again. Well, I didn't hook it up because I wanted this tank to empty out first. And now that it's empty, I think I do want to send a little bit of petroleum over this way so that we can make some solid fuel. Now that's a fairly long run of pipe, so I think what I would like to do is use a pump to give it some pressure. Let's see here. But here's the thing. I want to make sure that my plastic and my sulfur always gets fed before I convert anything into solid fuel. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to make use of some circuit logic now. Okay, so first we'll craft a pump. And I'll place it on here. Pump needs power, so we'll bring some power over. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to craft some red wire. And I'm going to, let's see, 1, 2. I'm just going to connect that red wire to each of these 4 tanks, and then I'll connect it to the pump. Okay, so that way the pump is going to receive a signal that tells me the contents of all of these 4 tanks all together. Each one can hold up to 25K, so the maximum that these tanks can store is 100,000 liters, or whatever it is that the units mean. We don't really know what, but so what I'll do is I will tell this pump to enable. We'll go to fluids, select petroleum gas. So when petroleum gas is greater than, let's say, 90,000, then this pump will turn on. So that way, if we ever start to run short of that, when the petroleum drops below 90,000, this pump will be disabled, and that way whatever petroleum remains will stay there to make plastic and sulfur. And when we have more than that amount, then I'll be able to convert it into solid fuel. So that's a kind of a simple way that you can prioritize. Actually, let's drain this pipe out. I just dumped a bunch of petroleum into this pipe. No sense wasting it. Yeah, it's going to take too long. All right, let's waste it. There we go. All right, so that way we'll continue to make some solid fuel as well as everything else I got going on up there. Okay, and I finished the rest of the red circuit build. So 4 copies of that initial setup that we did. And I think we're ready to make blue science packs. Okay, so for the blue science packs, chemical science packs, we need sulfur, advanced circuits, and engine units. Now on these we're going to get 2 chemical science packs every 24 seconds. So that means that I need 12 machines in order to get 1 per second. Right? Kind of like military science that was making 2 at a time. This also makes 2 at a time. So we'll do 12 machines making chemical science packs. Let's give ourselves a little bit of room. Boom. And we'll put it right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Chemical science packs. Okay. And then these also need 2 engine units every 24 seconds. Now, an engine unit takes 10 seconds to craft. Right? If we need 2 every 24 seconds, that means we need 1 every 12 seconds. Right? And these will actually make 1 every 10 seconds. So we need a little bit less than, actually we need 10 engine unit machines to feed this. But because it's so close to 12 seconds, I'm going to simplify things, and I'm going to make it a 1-to-1 ratio. All right, so I'm going to have a belt. How do I want to do this? Yeah, let's put the belt here. Yeah. All right. So on this belt, I'll put the red circuits and the sulfur. And then right next to it, I'll put the engine units. And I'll put 12 machines making engine units. And like I said, it's a little bit more than what we need, but it simplifies the build just to have each one feeding directly. And then we'll feed it in with a double row of red inserters. So these red inserters will pick up from the belt, and these will pick up from the assembly machines there. Like that. And then some simple yellow inserters on the output. And then our science packs will come down here. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Now we got to feed these science packs to the labs. What I would like to do is feed this belt of science packs and join up here. How can we do that? Well, we could feed them all the way down and over this way, and then go up. That might be the best way, rather than trying to feed through all of this stuff. feeding over the top is going to be a little bit difficult just because the red circuits go up so high. So yeah, so I think we'll just feed them down below where the sulfur is. All right, we need to clear out some of these trees. Oh, okay. I didn't need to go that far, did I? And it's okay if you go in. It's okay if you don't have everything on the bus going in the same direction. It's not going to hurt anything. All right. So we'll bring that up here, and then we can side load it right there, and it'll go on the opposite side of the belt. Let's see. Okay. Now let's feed it the sulfur and red circuits. Those are going to come up here. Okay, and I'll put those on a shared belt. Like that. And that'll continue on like that. Actually, I'm not sure if we're going to need the sulfur for anything else, or the plastic for that matter. So I'm not going to extend those any further for the moment. Okay. Let's start powering things up here. I'll just place these manually. And I'll throw in some lights. Ah, that's better. Feels good having lots of lights around the factory. Okay, so now we just have to start making engine units. And those aren't too hard. Steel plate, gears, and pipes. Okay, so we've got, again, we really only need to make 10 per second, right? But let's calculate it for 12. So 12 per second means we need one, no, not 12 per second, 1 per second. We need 1 engine per second, which means 1 gear per second and 2 pipes per second. Am I thinking about that right? 10 seconds, 1 per second. 1 engine per second. Yeah, we need 1 engine per second. Yeah, so 1 steel plate, 1 gear, and 2 pipes. Okay, so that's going to need 2 belts then, right? And we'll use 1 belt for the pipes, since that has a higher demand. We'll do this double inserter trick again. I like doing this because it's nice and clean. Now, you know, the other way that you can do this, of course, is to have a belt here and then have short inserters and long inserters on each machine, but I kind of like the simplicity of this layout personally. Okay. So let's have that one. Let's see. Gears and pipes. Gears. Pipes. And we'll put steel on this inside belt here, and then right here we need to bring in some iron plate. That's the wrong way. There we go. All right, so this will be straight pipe, and that'll be gears. Now I'm only putting one of these, because again, we need 1 gear a second. We can do that easily with one machine. We need 2 pipes a second, which also we can do with one machine. I think this will work, because even though this is not enough to feed 12 machines, but I don't really need 12 machines, because these are going to be producing a little bit faster than what the science packs need. So eventually these are going to start to back up a little bit. So I expect that after it runs for a bit, I expect that this will provide enough material. And if I'm wrong, then we'll fix it. I hope that is not confusing to anybody. I'm only running 12 machines instead of 10 because it simplifies the layout of my build. Okay, and then we can do that. Actually, let's do this. I'm out of belts. Let's go get some more belts. And I'll get a few more of those. I'll get a few more of those. Let's grab some more red inserters too. Or actually, you know what we can do? Just so there's no doubt, let's just put in another pipe machine. And I'll have this one side load. There. All right. So that'll be more than enough. Now we just need to get the steel up here. So we want the steel to come up right there. There. And that should be all we need. Okay, and we have to wait till it gets 2. And now we're making the science packs. Okay, so we just have to wait for those to finish crafting and then move all the way down the belt, get all the way over here, all the way up there, and then all the way over to the labs. So it'll be a few minutes before the first science packs hit the labs. While that is happening, I would like to set up the production of pipes here in my mall. Is this going to be a problem? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, whew. That's good. Okay. Yeah, so let's do 2 and 3. So I'm going to make this underground pipes, and then on each side of it I'm going to make straight pipes. And I'm doing it like this because underground pipes take 10 straight pipes each, so they can be a little bit slow to craft. Okay, so we'll limit these to, yeah, let's say 4 stacks each. And same here. Okay, so this way the undergrounds will craft a little bit faster since they're getting fed by 2 machines, and then I think 8 stacks is a little too much. Let's just make it 2 each, and then we'll start to accumulate some straight pipes once this backs up. Okay. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to start setting up for advanced oil, which is what we're starting to research now. And that'll be done fairly quickly. So I'm just going to come over here and get rid of coal and iron ore. I certainly don't need to carry that stuff around for any reason. Let's get rid of that, clear out some inventory. I got some stone here as well. Get rid of that. Okay. Speaking of stone, I would like to get myself a stone outpost. I think this is the closest one up there, so that I can start making landfill. Because pretty soon our bus is going to run into water. And I don't want to, I'd rather fill in the water than divert the bus. Oh, yeah, steel's looking kind of ugly. Let's, let's feed the steel line. And again, I'll set the input priority to the side that's pulling from our sad remaining mining drills. And then we can pull in from this belt if we run short. Okay, yeah, so it looks like advanced oil is almost finished. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. going to need some chemical plants. Okay, I've already got 11. Maybe we'll have enough. Let's see. Okay, so advanced oil is done. Yeah, we're going to need lubricant. Let's do lubricant, and then electric engines, and then robotics. Robotics, and then construction robotics. That is really what I want to get to next. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to change this recipe to advanced oil processing. And this is immediately going to make life more complicated. So, before we were putting in crude oil and we were only getting out petroleum. Life was very simple and kind of nice. Well, now we are going to give it water and crude oil, and we're going to get heavy oil, we're going to get light oil, and we're going to get petroleum. Now, why is this better, you might ask? Well, in this case, with the basic recipe, we're using 100 crude and we're getting 45 petroleum gas. In the advanced case, we use 100 crude plus some water and we get 55 petroleum gas, plus we get the heavy oil and the light oil. So we get a lot more output for the amount of crude oil that we're feeding in. And as you'll see, the heavy oil and light oil can be converted into other products. In fact, you can convert all your heavy oil and light oil into more petroleum gas if you want to. That's essentially what we're going to do here, although we are going to save some of it for other purposes as well. Okay, so let's change this back to advanced, and we're just going to set that up like this. This is kind of like the quickest way I know to do this, is just first do the 2 straight pipes coming out. Oops. And then just run your undergrounds across, just like we did with the crude. But in this case, it's going to be water. Okay, and then we can pick up this water line here. Okay. And now we're good to go. And then this is going to quickly stop because the heavy oil and light oil are not actually going anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to put 2 on light, 3 on heavy, like this. All right, and then this way the outputs of all the refineries are connected, and we can run the fluids all to the same place. Okay, and in this case I'm going to go to an array of tanks like I did before. So let's use, like I did with petroleum rather. So let's use this for the heavy oil. And then we'll leave some space, and we'll use this one for the light oil. Yeah. Okay, so now the fluids are flowing freely and the refineries will continue running. But since we're only using petroleum, eventually these tanks will back up. So with the heavy oil, the first thing that we want to do is make lubricant. That is our main use of the heavy oil. So I'm just going to connect a machine here. We'll select lubricant, and then I'll run that into a tank. That one's real easy. And that'll start converting heavy oil into lubricant. We use the lubricant to make a couple things. One, we use it to make electric engines, which we need to make the robots. And then it's also used to make, we can't make them yet, but when we get to the highest tier of logistics belts, those require lubricant as well. So that's what the lubricant's for. And usually one machine going into one tank is enough to supply you with lots of lubricant. If later in the game you start making tons and tons of blue belts, then you're going to need to scale this up considerably. But for now, this will be plenty. Now with the light oil, we can do a couple of different things. For one, I'm going to start using light oil to make our solid fuel. And I'll explain why in a moment. So let's remove this. And we'll wait for those pipes to empty out. Okay, so over here, let's place a pump. There we go. That looks pleasing. And as we did before, I'm going to set the activation condition on the oil because I don't want to make solid fuel with it unless we have a lot of it. Although in this case, let's say anything more than 50,000. And we'll start turning it into solid fuel. Okay, we can make robots now, which we will get to eventually. In the meantime, what do I want to research in the meantime? Let's do mining productivity 2. Let's do personal roboports, worker robot speed, worker robot cargo size. Those are pretty much mandatory upgrades. Logistics bots. Lasers would be good because then we can get into laser turrets. There. Okay. That's a good cue for now. All right, so let's feed this to the other side. Great. Now the reason to use light oil for solid fuel is that it's a more efficient process. Let's come over right here. One piece of solid fuel will use 20 units of petroleum, or you can make solid fuel from 10 units of light oil. So that's why it's more efficient. Light oil is the best thing to use for making solid fuel. We just have to change the recipe. See this recipe, 20 petroleum gas, or if we make it from solid fuel or from light oil, it only needs 10 light oil. So we just change that recipe. And then we connect it to the light oil pipe, which will eventually start to feed. No, why is it? That doesn't seem right. Why is there some in the pipe already? Maybe I didn't set that pump correctly. Ah. Greater than 50,000. Okay, well it's turned off now. It probably pumped some into the pipe before I set the activation condition on it. Okay, so we got that set up. Now, in spite of all that, we will still eventually reach a point where these oil tanks, one or the other oil tank will fill up because we'll have a full tank of lubricant, something like that. So what we'll do with the rest of the oil is a process called cracking. And what cracking does, we can look at those recipes here. Okay. So there's heavy oil cracking, where you can convert heavy oil into light by adding water. So 40 heavy oil plus 30 water will give you 30 light oil. And then you can also crack light oil to petroleum, again with water. 30 light oil gives you 20 petroleum. Okay, so with all the excess oil, we're going to be cracking it into more petroleum because that's what we need the most. Okay, heavy oil. So what we're going to do, we're going to set up, we'll set up two, make sure you leave a space. We'll set up 2 machines to crack heavy oil into light. And then we'll set up 7 machines. No, I think we're going to need more than that. Let's potentially overdo it here. Let's do 3 heavy to light. And then let's do 8 light to petroleum. I need one more chemical plant. And you're probably asking where I get these numbers from. I will go over that in more detail in a future episode. For now, of course, you can do it the hard way by just trying to calculate everything yourself. But there's a simpler way, and I'll show you that in the next episode. There's some online calculators that you can use. The one that I use was written by a person called Kirk McDonald. So if you search for Kirk McDonald Factorio calculator, I'm sure you'll find it. And you can put in what your production requirements are for your entire base, and it'll tell you exactly how many of each type of machine you need, making what parts. So I usually rely on that to come up with a lot of these ratios. I mean, the basic ratios, for example, if I have 10 machines making X, how many machines do I need to feed it with this component? That kind of stuff I can do in my head without too much trouble. But if I say, okay, I want 60 of each science packs per minute, how many machines do I need to make red circuits? Well, that's a different type of calculation. It's a lot more difficult, so I rely on the computer to help me with that. Okay, so I'm setting up another pump over here. I think I mentioned this previously, but I like to use a pump to get materials out of the tank and into my thirsty machines. Okay. And then the water we can just tap in right here. Okay, now in this case, I'm going to hook this up to a circuit as well. So let's make more red wires. You could use green wires too if you want. It doesn't matter which color you use. They both do the same thing. The reason there's 2 different colors is because you can connect green wires and red wires to the same entities, and the signals will be carried independently. So if you need to do some math or anything like that, you can do that without affecting the other color. It's like having separate channels. Okay, so now in this case, I want my priority to be on the production of lubricant. So I'm going to tell this to turn on only if heavy oil exceeds, I don't know, let's say 10,000. Okay, so if I have less than 10,000 in the tanks, this pump won't turn on, and all that heavy oil will be available to make lubricant. And then if it starts to back up, then this will kick on, and we'll start converting it into light oil. Okay, and then the light oil, I'm just going to feed into the light oil tanks. And then we'll have another pump here on the output, which by pure luck, I put in exactly the right place so that I have just barely enough room to put my pump. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So this one turns on when, yeah, actually in this case, I don't have any use for light oil besides making solid fuel. So in this case, I'll convert all the light oil into petroleum until it goes over 50K, and then I'll make it into solid fuel. Right, because the only use I have for light oil is making solid fuel or making more petroleum. I don't have to worry about any other ingredients, or products, I should say. Now, the first couple of times you do an advanced oil build, the plumbing can get tricky. Just be thankful that in the latest versions of the game, they made it so that you can't mix fluids. It didn't always used to be that way. There was once a time where if, for example, you had a pipe of water and you put it right there, then you would have water and light oil mixed all together in the same pipeline, and nothing would work, and the only way to fix it was either to drain everything into a tank or to pick up all your pipes and lay them down again. So now the game will physically prevent you from doing that, which I can demonstrate. See, it won't let me put a pipe there, which is a major improvement. Okay, so now this is making petroleum gas, and then I'll just connect all of this, and then we'll send this over into the petroleum gas tanks, where there is probably no room. I could feed it up into there. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So these tanks are essentially full, so this is going to shut down soon. And then the light oil will start to back up. So for a while, we'll just be making solid fuel out of it. Now let's figure out how many solid fuel making machines I need. In the case that all this gets backed up, my petroleum's backed up, and I have nothing to do but make solid fuel with the light oil. These make 45 light oil every 5 seconds, which is, what, 9 per second, right? And I've got 10 of these machines. Yeah, so 9. So I can make up to 90 light oil per second with this refinery setup. Oh, plus the light oil from cracking. Let's see. Okay, so let's remember 90. And then if we make, let's see, 25, 5, and then we're making another 50 heavy oil per second, which is going to turn into about another 35 light oil per second. So 90 plus, so about 125 light oil per second is what this whole setup can make. 135. These use 10, these use 5 per second. Jeez. Because they use 10 every 2 seconds. So I actually need quite a lot of machines making solid fuel in order to eat up all that light oil. Oh, and actually still need petroleum down here. Alright, so I would actually need 26 machines. That sounds like kind of a lot. Let's just make it 10, and hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, that's not wise. Let's put it on the other side. And let's start from down here. Okay. Two, 4, 5. Okay. So we're going to set up like this. Let's throw in some lights. There. Oh no, let's go the other way. Okay, and let's get some petroleum down there so that we can make more of those cliff explosives and stuff if we need them. Okay. Okay, now all the refineries are stopped because petroleum is backed up. So the only way all this is going to run is if we're continuing to use petroleum, which right now we're not doing very much of. We're just using enough to make the science packs. Later on, we'll start using up a lot more, and then we'll be able to see the rest of this run. Okay, so we've got advanced oil set up. We're making plastic. We're making sulfur. Oh, you know, the other thing that we're going to need is sulfuric acid. So let's set that up too. Just one more chemical plant. Sulfuric acid takes water and iron plates, I believe. Let's see here. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, it takes sulfur, water, and iron plate. I don't have iron plate up here, but I do have iron. So what I could do is... Oh, I don't have electric furnaces yet. That's a bummer. That's advanced material processing 2. We'll get electric furnaces. So I'll have to use a steel furnace. And that's 1 plate per second. Okay. I should probably have... Let's make a second machine making sulfur. Yeah, unfortunately mirroring is not easy when it comes to this stuff. Let's see, how can I do this? I can't do that. Yeah, I didn't make this in a way conducive to doubling it. Alright. And if that's sulfuric acid, okay, good. There's water. Let's put a tank there. Let's give it some sulfur. And then I need, this is the iron plate. Ah. Okay, now we're making sulfuric acid. I think I actually need 2 more of those furnaces. Because it's 3.6? Or no, it's not 3.6 seconds. Because those furnaces have a crafting speed of 2. So it's 1.6 seconds each. And I need essentially 1 per second. Yeah, so 2 of these will be fine. There we go. And I should probably put down another turret or 2 up here. Okay. So now we're making pretty much everything that we need out of the refinery, I think. Plastic, sulfuric acid, sulfur, lubricant, petroleum gas. Yeah, I think that's about it. And we're making blue science packs, which I can see flowing down the line there. And we have more than enough labs to consume them as fast as they're being made, so good enough. If you press P, you can see your production statistics. So let's set the time scale to 1 minute, and this will show you your average production per minute over the last minute. And we can see here that red, green, and blue science are all producing at 45 or a little bit higher science packs per minute, which is exactly what we have designed for. So that's good. And then even though we have labs that are not being used, that's perfectly okay because, well, the point is just to have enough labs to consume all the science packs. Later on, if we see that this condition persists a lot, we can always remove some of the labs if we want to. They don't consume power unless they're actually running like this, so it won't really save us anything, but it will allow us to get all these science packs out of these machines, which are idle, because these can't work unless they have all 4. Right? So having a lab with only some of the science packs sitting in it is kind of an inefficiency, because those science packs can't get used, and it would be better to put them in another machine that can actually make use of them. But it's a minor point. It's not going to make or break the base. You know, by the time we're done with this playthrough, we're going to be consuming many thousands of science packs. So having a few extra ones in there that get wasted is going to have a negligible impact. Okay, well, that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all next time. Bye-bye.